need gas. Well. Oh well, we'll get some. You need gas, right? Alright guys, sorry about the vulgar placement of my pickle. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about maintenance expenses on these big old trucks of ours. And if you're somebody that is thinking about getting into the business, this is just something to think about before you get into the business. These are maintenance expenses for the most part. These are, that means they're expenses that will come up. Not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And they can become quite costly. And like I said, this, for the most part, they're mostly just maintenance, not a breakdown, not this, not that, you know, nothing that's like that. This is basic maintenance. Yeah, I just got hit with one of the biggest bills I've ever had for basic maintenance on the semi truck, and we will get into that in a little while. But for right now, we're gonna I love that sound. For right now, we're gonna go ahead and go I gotta go pick the wife up some Coca-Cola from McDonald's. I don't get it. She is infatuated with Coca-Cola from McDonald's. Says it's like nobody else. She says Coca-Cola from McDonald's has spoiled her. And I'll tell you what, after that big bill from Keith's, from my shop, I need every little thing I can do to show her that she married me for a good reason. Not to spend a whole crap ton of money on a truck. But yeah, so we're gonna go do that. We're gonna go pick up a Coca-Cola and bring it home to the wifey, and then we will talk about these expenses. Well, it looks like we had a little bit of an accident here. I was wondering why this road was closed down for so long today. I hope everybody was all right. Damn. Huh. Still shows the road is being closed on that side, but well, I guess it is right here. You can see they've got traffic directed going the other way. Yep. Gotta be careful out there, guys. On to McDonald's. But first, let's fill this thing up with some petrol. Convenient locations so you can reserve. Expert service and friendly rebates.
Doing this keeps your blood sugar levels more stable, reduces sugar cravings, boosts your energy, and supports healthy skin.
This is a dirty girl. Look how dirty this thing is. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. She needs a bath.
McDonald's, are you going to be using your reward code today?
No, thank you. I just need one large Coca-Cola and that's it.
All right, honey, it'll be $137.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's how you please your woman, gentlemen. Now it is time to bring home our catch. We have been out hunting McDonald's Coca-Colas, and we must now bring home the find, the hunt, the product of our hunt. We must bring it home to the homestead, where we will reap in plentiful of nothing at all, really. She'll just say thank you and drink all of it. There's nothing really more to it than that. But let's do it anyway. Oh. It's funny how the wife gets the freaking garage spot with the minivan, not the Mustang. Here we go. All right, guys, let me just find a place to sit out here somewhere, and we'll talk about those expenses I was talking about earlier when I was in the car. Like I said, they're up there. All right. Had the tent out this weekend. Kids wanted to sleep in there over the weekend, so we did camped out, little backyard camp out. I need to get a fire pit out here so that we can have a real camp out. You know, we made s'mores, but we made them in the microwave in the house, and then they wanted to come out here and eat them in the tent. So that was fun. But like I said, I need a fire pit to make s'mores the right way, the proper way. But it was a good time though. I enjoy sleeping in the tent. All right, as you guys remember, over a vacation, I sent the truck into the shop to have a few things taken care of on it. Things that it needed, a couple of things it didn't really need, but things I wanted to get just taken care of. The vast majority of everything was basic maintenance items. One thing I had done was I needed a new inverter put in the truck. That is not a, basic maintenance. That's just something I wanted done to the truck. The factory inverter went bad, so they needed to put a new one in, and they had to wire it in to work with the outlets in the truck. So they got that all situated in there. I had the DPF cleaned, the DPF, DOC, SCR, all that was taken out and cleaned, and baked. And of course they don't do it in house, so they have to send it out to have it done. They found a leaky wheel seal during their inspection on the truck, and of course that needed tended to, so they went ahead and put a new wheel seal on. But when they took the wheel off to put the wheel seal on, they noticed on that wheel that the slides on that caliper, because it's got drum brakes, so it's got a caliper instead of it's got a caliper on it, with regular pads like you'd see on a modern car. The slides on the caliper were seized, so they opted to order a new caliper. And I told them before I left, I said, well, look guys, if it's a huge expense to the truck, I didn't really give them a limit, but just kind of use their heads. Huge expense to the truck that you find something wrong with. Maybe wait till I get back and say something to me about it, because when we go on a cruise, we shut our phones off. Mainly because we're, in areas that our phones are going to be roaming, and so we just don't have our phones on. So I let them know that. Anyways, they went ahead and took the liberty, which is fine. I needed the brake. They took the liberty of ordering a new caliper and having that installed. And of course, a caliper on a semi-truck isn't going to be very cheap now, is it? Again, I would still consider that kind of maintenance. It's a wearable, it's an item that's going to wear out. With 500,000 miles on, I'm sure that was the original caliper, it's going to wear out. So again, basic maintenance. It's not like the truck broke down. That's what I'm trying to decipher here between show the differences between a truck breaking down and you just are expecting a major repair bill versus a maintenance bill, where it might just be, you're just thinking fluid changes, oil change, transmission fluid flush, differential change, fluid change, things like that. While those can get kind of costly if you do them all at once, because the differential fluid, the gear oil, is not that cheap. But that's not the only basic maintenance to think of on these trucks. Especially the newer ones with the DPF systems. Another major item you have to think about are the filters in the after treatment. I was expecting to see a bill of $3,000, maybe $4,000. That's what I was kind of expecting. I didn't really think there'd be that many hours involved in the labor, because there really wasn't anything that involved. I mean, all they were, they took apart the muffler, if you want to call it the muffler, the filters and the exhaust system. They took those apart, which really isn't that many labor hours involved to do something like that. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't, I mean, you can see that right there. And then, of course, they had to do some wiring for the new inverter. And the new inverter itself isn't that expensive. They used a Cobra inverter instead of the factory inverter, which saved me a lot of money because the factory inverter was $1,800, and the one they used was about $350. So they saved some money on that, which is obviously a good thing. But again, and I was expecting about $1,000 or a little more just in cleaning the filters. I knew that would not be very cheap, but obviously cheaper than buying new filters. So I knew that'd be right around $1,000. I tallied everything up to be, like I said, around $4,000. That's what I expected. That was before I knew about the brake caliper, mind you. So $3,000 to $4,000 is what I expected. So this is just to show that even with a basic maintenance bill, you can kind of feel a little blindsided. The maintenance bill, once we got it back, and again, I'll put the invoice up here, came out to be a little over $7,400. Just maintenance. I'm like, that seemed pretty. I mean, I've had bigger bills. Trust me, I've had bigger bills. But they were for breakdowns. They were for, differentials, needing replaced, transmissions needing rebuilt, things like that. Not basic maintenance, you know what I mean? So it really caught me off guard. Thankfully we're okay, obviously, but I was like, holy cow, now I'll tell you what the man hours were, what the labor was. And I'm still having a little bit of trouble understanding why it was so many hours involved. But yeah, if you look on the invoice down towards the lower left corner, it has the total hours involved. 31 hours involved. If I remember right, that's more than the rebuild of an engine. Isn't it? Isn't like a typical engine rebuild like 20 hours or something like that? Maybe 25 hours. But 31 hours in this, they had, that was replacing the inverter. Yeah, you'll see on there too, they put new headlight bulbs in there. I know you're gonna be like, why didn't you just put the bulbs in? Well, because I wanted to put LEDs in. Obviously, yes, I know how to change bulbs. I know how to do a lot of stuff. But I wanted to put LEDs in, and I was kind of worried that it might throw a code putting the LED, but these Peterbilts are finicky. You could put in, different bulbs, and it may not like those bulbs, and it could throw a code. So I wanted them to go ahead and put the new LEDs in case it threw a code. They could do what they needed to do to correct it or whatever. So that was the only reason why I did that. But the bulbs were $70, as it shows on there. But they put the bulbs in. They did the inverter swap. They said that when they came to the truck one morning, somehow I had a whole bunch of engine lights on for DEF, and the DEF gauge was on empty, and and they put some DEF in it for me. But that ended up, and they had to clear it, and they did a regen and all that, and they cleared the codes for that, and that was unexpected. That's never happened to me before. And then that ended up being simply, I did have DEF in there, because I remember I brought it to them with 3/8 of a tank of DEF, so I knew it had DEF, so that's why I was surprised. Eventually that corrected itself. It must have had there was something going on with my batteries at the time, and I think it just had a low voltage issue, and that's what the whole problem was with that. Because after everything was settled, the gauge started reading right again, and it was fine after that. And then they did the caliper replacement, the wheel seal replacement, which, even though it's an inner wheel seal. Couple hours to do that. I would think it's probably a couple hours on the books to do something like that. And then the caliper, I don't know how long it takes to change the caliper, but not long, I wouldn't imagine, when you've already got everything taken apart. Again, I don't know. I didn't even have them do an oil change. The truck wasn't ready for an oil change yet, so I didn't have them do that. And also, of course, taking apart the exhaust and everything like that. Now, they didn't show how much time it took for the other place, obviously, to clean the filters. So I'm sure, I mean, they just paid the lump sum for to delegate that to somebody else. So anyway, 31 hours came out to be about $2,600 in labor. And it was altogether about $7,400. Now, again, if you look at my invoice, you'll see that labor rates there are next to nothing. They're $85 per hour. I'd love to see somebody show me someplace cheaper than $85 per hour. So, if you do the math, had that been at a dealership paying the dealership rates, which dealership rates around here, which the local dealer where I bought that truck from here in Cincinnati, their rates are actually relatively inexpensive for a dealership, but they're still expensive. They're $175 per hour. Now, if you do the $175 per hour instead of the $85 per hour, you're looking at, like, I think the math came out to be around $5,500, somewhere around there, just in labor. So most people, and if you do another shop that's kind of around the corner from me, kind of another mom and pop type shop, which I've been to a few times, their labor rates are $135 an hour. And if you use them, then that's again around $4,200, I believe it was, for the labor hours. So I doubt you're going to find anywhere that's less than $135 unless you bring it to Keith's for the $85. So you should. So if you're going to look at this, look at it that way. This bill, had I gone to the dealer, or had I gone to, I don't know, wait for this helicopter. How rude this helicopter pilot is. But hang on. Anyway, had it been at the dealership, it would have been well over $10,000. And what I had them do, vastly general maintenance on the truck. Thankfully, you don't have to bake filters all that often. Probably the next time I do anything with the filters, they're going to be replaced, that's going to be a very big bill. It's a lot more expensive, like I said, to replace them than it is to bake them and clean them. But this is something, guys, that if you haven't thought about, you really need to think about before you buy a truck. Typically I don't talk much about that stuff on the channel. I just talk about my day and everything. But it can be a wake-up call when you get a maintenance bill like that, when you're expecting $3,000, maybe $4,000, and you get the bill and it's $7,500 almost. So, again, like I said, I'm fortunate. It's not the end of the world, but you really got to think about that kind of thing when you come out here on your own. Well, I'm not even on my own. I'm leased onto a company. But when you buy your own truck, you've got to think about this stuff, because you can be blindsided by maintenance easily, not just a breakdown. Like I said, I've had some major, still relatively small, but to me, major breakdown costs. Like I said, I've had differentials replaced. I've had transmissions rebuilt. So it can get expensive, but you never really think of it with a basic maintenance bill. I don't know why, you just don't. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. Make sure you have it in case you need it. Thankfully, with basic maintenance, you can plan for that. I mean, you should plan for any breakdown, but basic maintenance you should always be planning for, because it's incremental mileage. That's, when you know you need to get something done. So I just wanted to let you guys know, keep that all in mind, and just, again, be mindful of everything, because it can get expensive really quick out here with these trucks. Definitely puts things into perspective when I have something fixed on my pickup truck or car or whatever. A lot of people, when they get a car or something fixed at the shop and it's like $800, $900, they have a panic attack. They're like, oh my God, $800, $900. Yeah, it's funny how everything in context means the difference, between everything, if that makes sense. Sounds like I'm babbling now, but it's like, if you watch, there's a YouTube channel I like to watch called JR Aviation. I'm sure you've probably heard of JR Garage. They're kind of younger kids who made a fortune with an online business, and they started buying, exotic cars, mostly exotic cars at a deal that needed fixed, and then they're very mechanically inclined, at least one of the brothers are, and they would fix them, and then they'd have a really nice car for a fraction of the price that it would normally be retail. And they've got a bunch of them. They have a hangar in Arizona where they keep their cars. Well, they're also very much into airplanes. They own a couple airplanes. And they even own a Learjet. Well, not a Learjet. I'm sorry. They own a Cessna Citation, which is about the size of a small Learjet, I guess. And they're in their 20s, early 20s. And they just had a maintenance repair bill on that. And it was, $24,000 for a maintenance bill. Like, there's things that need to be done at certain times on these airplanes, especially jets. And they weren't expecting it, and so it can really throw you for a loop. I mean, they had the money, but they weren't expecting to be so high. So it just goes to show that things like this can really throw you for a loop, but it's also a matter of perspective. I mean, $7,000 for a repair bill on a semi-truck is not that out of the norm, but it can surprise you when it's just general maintenance and it's one bill. So, anyways, just keep that in mind. But I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Maybe go downstairs, play the drums a little bit. And yeah, just figured I'd put this out there for anybody that's, like I said, looking to buy a truck. Think about this stuff. Really think about it. I am extremely fortunate to be where I'm at, to be leased on to where I'm leased on to, having consistent freight. If I didn't have consistent freight, who's to say that I would have the ability to pay for a bill like this? Thankfully I do, and thankfully I am. Hell, even before the bill, my wife and I were sitting out back by the tent in our camping chairs a couple days ago, and she even made mention that we wouldn't be where we are today, without Mike inviting me to be a part of his business, and having the consistency that we do. It's just been phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal experience. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's just been a fantastic experience, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. Yeah, we were able to maintain our lifestyle even when things dipped on the spot market. That's not an easy thing to do, or not many people can say that. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm not complaining about this bill. I just wanted to make it obvious to some people, and more apparent of what to watch out for and to be prepared for when you're out here driving one of these massive trucks down the road, and that check engine light comes on, or you remember that you've got to go in and get some maintenance done for something, But anyways, with all that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And like I said, I'm going to go probably downstairs and play some drums. and then maybe take down the tent. We'll see. But y'all have a good one out there. Be safe. Keep surviving to thrive. And we'll talk to you guys all in the next video. Take care.